Second. It's saying we are live, so let's give everyone a few seconds to find the video and then we can start. All right. Okay, here comes Sune as well. All right, well, hello everybody and welcome back to a new Reader's Warehouse Recommends. I'm Thomas from Reader's Warehouse and we are live every Monday talking about books with our book recommendation session. Today we are talking about adult books and we alternate that every week, either talking about children or adults. And this week it is adult titles. Joining us today, we have two people from John the Ball Publishers. We have Annalise Lucas and Jaco Schroeder. Joining us from indie publishers, we have Melita Kwok, and joining us from Blue Weaver Sales and Marketing, we have Sune Rock. So thank you so much for joining us today. All right, so we're going to go Jaco, Annalise, Melita, and then Sune. So Jaco, over to you for your first title.
Okay, I hope you can see my screen there.
Yep, we can.
The first title I want to talk about is The Golden Gate by Amy Chua. For those of you who've been in and around the book trade for a long time, you'll remember she was the author of the bestseller memoir Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. But this is now her venturing into fiction, so it's her debut. And it's a story that's set in America during the sort of Second World War period, a time that sort of very turbulent part of American history. And this previous presidential candidate who's been found dead in his hotel room in this sort of very upmarket Claremont hotel. And he was a very wealthy man, so needless to say, he could potentially have had lots of enemies. So it is Detective Al Sullivan who is sort of investigating this case. And as he starts digging, he discovers that also a girl of 7 years old was found dead in this hotel, and there's those who believe that she still haunts this institution. But everywhere sort of he turns, he comes across this sort of wealthy family, the Bainbridge family, of which this girl Iris was also a family member, and this sort of powerful matriarch, this grandmother who sort of dominates this family, and the three heiresses that sort of due to inherit this sort of wealth. They keep on popping up in this investigation. So it's about how this investigator needs to sift through all the sort of information and detail and evidence to come and to get to the bottom of this case. And essentially, it is a story that looks at power and justice, and how justice often depends on how much power you have, and power that is determined by things like race and gender and class. So it looks at America during the Second World War period, but I think these are kind of issues that's still very relevant today as well. So getting excellent reviews will be a great read for the fans.
Yeah, and I have to say, when an author can write both fiction and nonfiction, and you know, and so well, I think, because you know she's written a few nonfiction titles that have sold really nicely, including the Battle Myth, and now I think she's written, I think this could be a second fiction title, which is really fantastic.
Cool.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jaco. Okay, Annalise, over to you for your first title. Do you want me to share the picture of the book, or can you share on your
yes,
side?
if you can,
Okay.
because I only have my iPad with me.
Sure.
So,
do you want? Are you gonna, which one would you like to do first?
I don't know if they can see that. It's okay, but if they can't, then maybe we should just use sharing it.
Okay, yeah, I can share it. Yeah. Which title do you want to talk about first?
I want to go with the Running Grave first.
Okay, sure.
Robert Galbraith.
Okay, cool. Let me share that quickly for you. Boom. That one. Okay, you can go, Annalise.
Okay, so my first book I'll be talking about is The Running Grave by Robert Galbraith. It is book 7 in the Cormorant Strike series. We are really, really excited about this. It is a doorstop of a book once again. And I always tell people the story. The first time I started reading a Robert Galbraith I completely forgot to pick my son up from school. So I had to drive like a maniac. So just warning you, make sure that you don't have any duties that you need to complete before you start reading this. So in this installment, we obviously meet with once again, private detective Cormoran Strike and his business partner, Ellen, I think, no, her name is not Ellen, but the two of them obviously working together. He receives a call from a very worried father to go and save his son, who's decided to join a religious cult, deep in Norfolk. So, it's obviously nerve-wracking, but in true Cormoran Strike style, on the surface, everything seems to be fine at this, church. They do campaign for a better world. But on investigation, Cormoran Strike obviously finds that there's a whole lot of sinister things happening, including unexplained deaths, but, quite a few of it. So they decided to obviously free this young man. His business partner decided then to infiltrate the cult. Very risky, and the only way for her to infiltrate the cult is to go and live in and amongst them, incognito, or whichever way you want to look at it. She, on the other hand, wasn't prepared for, the toll it will take on her. It's obviously violent. I think we have a few local books, discussing and talking about cults at the moment. I think that is something that, a whole lot of people are dealing with. I had a friend that went to school with me that somehow ended up in a cult. Their parents were very religious, but they had no clue that it was a cult. She was just invited over, or she went overseas and ended up being in this cult. But Robert Galbraith, like I say, at her best, because we do know that she is obviously, it's a pseudonym for J.K. Rowling, who wrote the wonderful Harry Potter series. So please do yourself a favor. It will keep you busy for quite some time, but it's definitely worth it. So yeah, it's The Running Grave by Robert Galbraith.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Annalise. Yeah, there's been a lot of people asking for that book, so there's definitely got a fandom for it as well. So really exciting for this new one. All right, Melita, over to you for your first title.
Okay, you can tell me, can you see it there?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the highly anticipated Dion Meyer is finally here. So Leo has hit the shelves. So this really starts off with a bang. A student's death on the mountain near Stellenbosch looks suspicious. Then they find the body of a former recce. And now the question is, was he killed as a message to someone to shut up? And then also there is the body of a corrupt politician that is found in the sandpit at the 16th hole of the Arabella with an indecipherable note attached to the body. So, and then also enters an attractive safari guide recruited as a honeycomb for the biggest dollar heist in the country's history. And then there's also agents of state capture that sabotage every investigation. So with this, you need a clear head and you need to be able to handle pressure. You have to be able to stay calm and focused and sober. But Benny Griesel's head is everywhere, but in solving this case and where it needs to be. So he's depressed, he's worried, he's afraid because he's getting married. So that is a huge pressure on him as well. And this can only be a recipe for disaster. So Griesel and his partner Cupido are back, and here comes trouble. So like I said, this is long-awaited new Leo. And with this, Dion Meyer is an internationally acclaimed writer. He lives in Stellenbosch, and he's won awards for some of his previous books, the Artica Fair Prize for fiction, Prooi, Orion, as well as Proteus and Infanta. So this is a definite must-read for crime lovers.
I think when I looked online, this is the 9th Benny Griesel, so which is exciting to get a new one by him. I think this is probably Dion's most famous and most popular character. And on Mnet this Sunday starts the Benny Crystal Devil's Peak TV series. So yeah, it's just fantastic. This is out at the moment.
Yes, Devil's Peak is based on Infanta.
Okay, Infanta. Okay, wonderful. Perfect. All right, Melita, thank you so much for your first title. So now it is to Sune, over to you for your first title.
Hey, thank you so much, Thomas, and happy Monday, everyone. So I'm sure we are all still pumping with adrenaline after last night's hair-thin win for the Springboks. So that is why I am very excited to present some rugby titles to you today. We know the final is coming up this coming Saturday, so we all definitely still have Bok fever, and these titles fit in with that very well. So first up, we have the Fireside Springbok. This book has been getting a lot of attention and we are very excited about it. It comes to us from author Mike Greenaway. He was also involved with writing Captain in the Cauldron, which was very popular years ago when it came out. So this book is really for the rugby lovers and for anybody who wants a bit more of a behind the scenes look at the Springboks. We look at the history from the 1890s right up to present day, and we get told some very interesting and captivating stories that have never really been heard before. It's illustrated with, there are very fun cartoons that it's illustrated with. It features some rare black and white photographs that really add to the stories. So yeah, this is a beautiful coffee table hardcover book, so perfect for gifting. Never too early to get your Christmas shopping done. So yeah, that is the Fireside Springbok. So well researched and really a great read.
Yeah, I have to say, when we got this in, it's been selling so well, we've had to reorder it. So it definitely is like up there. I think if you're looking for anyone who's a rugby fan or lover, you know, this is like definitely one to consider. And it's like a really great, like you said, almost a coffee table type book as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not one of those coffee table books that is going to gather dust on your table or on the shelf somewhere. It is one you're going to want to pick up and want to come back to. So yeah, definitely a great option.
Okay, wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Sine. That was the end of round one. So we'll start with round two. So Yaku, over to you for your second title. You just have to unmute yourself, Yaku.
Sorry, I can hear me now.
Yeah.
So this, my second title, you can sort of read when you are like me and you don't have the nerves to watch a sort of action-packed rugby game, and you just sort of follow the scores online, then you can just sort of continue dipping and reading in this one. This is a debut title. It's a crime title with quite a different angle. I know publishers always say that, but I can really vouch for that. So this is a story that's set at this very exclusive sort of country club where sort of wealthy people are members and they sort of go on their holidays and long weekends there. And now for the July the 4th sort of holiday celebrations, there's also this private detective, Adam McInnes, that's been invited to sort of share in this sort of festivities and celebrations. But you very quickly sort of realize that he's there with a hidden agenda. One of the club members has invited him with a specific reason to investigate some of the other club members, because the club is sort of in financial trouble and there's all kinds of shenanigans going on in the background. And then lo and behold, there is a woman's body who's found in the lake, which looks like a supposed suicide. And then the very next day, there's another murder. So the sort of action piles up. But what I really love about this is that the author sort of also engages with you as the reader. And he'll sort of share with you some of the tricks of the trade of some of the classic sort of crime writers like Agatha Christie or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle or Anton Chekhov. So this book also becomes a bit of a love letter to the genre of crime fiction. I know it's probably not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I loved it. And I think it's the kind of read that even if you're not a crime fan, you'll still enjoy this. And just as a little side note, the kill in the title actually refers to a river. apparently it's derived from an old Dutch word. So it's an interesting play on the word kill as well.
Okay, interesting. I like the cover, so cool with the jigsaw pieces. It's almost like solving the puzzle.
Very retro,
yeah. And I think also it sounds like a great book for book clubs as well. You know, you're like, if there's something different, you know, and then you could read this and then recommend it to the other people in your book club to read. So yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Very different.
Yeah, wonderful. Great. Thanks, Yaku. All right, Annelies, over to you. Which title do you want to talk about next?
The Bodyguard by Catherine Center.
Okay. Cool. All right, you can go for it, Annelies.
Okay, so my next book I'll be talking about is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. So this is a light and easy read, I would say, a bit of a romantic novel as well. The synopsis it starts with is, she's got his back, he's got her heart. They've got a secret, what would possibly go wrong? So we meet Hannah Brooks, who looks like a kindergarten teacher rather than somebody who could kill you with her bare hands. But the truth is, she's an elite bodyguard, and she's just been hired to protect a superstar actor from his stalker. So the story centers about, this young girl, or this elite bodyguard who has now been asked to obviously, look after this young man. It's a bit different, and I really like it because, we always know it's the other way around. So she's been hired as the bodyguard, but the family shouldn't know that Jack, who's obviously a Hollywood heartthrob, that is captured by paparazzi on beaches, all around the world, as he, like just put this picture in your mind, rising out of the waves in a clingy board shorts and glistering like a Roman deity. So this is the kind of character he is, and she needs to protect him. For, to keep the family, in the dark, they decided to, obviously act like she's his girlfriend. And like I say, it's normally the other way around. You would act as the bodyguard, and that was the girlfriend. So the two of them is obviously there. It seems like, she's going to maybe fall for him, and that is kind of exactly what happens. So like I say, a light and easy read, a little bit different. It's set in Texas on this family's ranch, and she's obviously there to try and make sure that no one kills him, because he's been receiving death threats, like one of our rugby players apparently received a death threat as well. And it's a bit sinister because I couldn't find any of the details online. Hopefully his girlfriend or someone was there to kind of like protect him. But The Bodyguard by Catherine Center is definitely a light and easy holiday read you can pick up. It's got good reviews online, and all our backlist titles and every other book written by her is done really, really well. So definitely something to pick up and enjoy.
Yeah, and it's got two shout outs from Emily Henry and Christina Lawrence.
Yes,
so if you're fans of that author, this is right up your street, in what to read.
It even has a shout out by Jodie Picoult as well, which is great. So it means, not just for the romance fans.
Okay, wonderful. Great. Thank you, Annelies. That's a fantastic title. All right, Melita, over to you for your second title.
Okay, let's just see. Okay, so the next one, Hans Kry Troukoers. So this is now the 5th book in this series. It's doing so well. And in this one now, Hans is this 90-odd-year-old, and he was, for people who don't know, but his children decided that he can't live on his own. So they, in the very first book, they send him off to an old age home. And he got up to a lot of mischief, and Hans is still at it. But in this one, Huis Madeliefie has a new resident. Her name is Liefie Diffie, and she's got the face of a beautiful young Marilyn Monroe and the body of Jane Fonda. And obviously all the men at the old age home falls head over heels in love. And Hans always thought that there's only one woman for him. And since she's died, he's never going to be able to love again. But slowly but surely, Hans is also starting to develop feelings for Liefie Diffie. And obviously, there is a lot of competition because everyone wants to win her hand. Now, the question is, who is going to get Liffy Diffy? So the very first book, the movie was just released on Sticky Rubicon Oor. It's doing extremely well. The first 3 books have been read on RSG. So there you go. This is a wonderful comedy read for the Christmas period. It's just amazing how Rudy can jump from serious crime to absolute comedy with such ease. I absolutely love his work. I've read all the Hans books, and I can definitely recommend this one.
Yeah, that is amazing how you can write both, you know what I mean, and simultaneously every year bring out both, because we actually had a request to make sure we have books from Rudy for Black Friday, because that was on someone's wish list. So he's definitely got, you know, an amazing following, and so so exciting to have a new Hans book.
Absolutely, something for Christmas.
Yeah, for sure. Now we're on to the final round. No, we're not. We're on to Sine. Sine, it's over to you for your second title.
Thanks, Thomas. Okay, so keeping with our rugby theme, I have a bit of an older title, but it's still very relevant, and it did so well for us. This is The Final Whistle from Nigel Owens. So this is the story of Nigel Owens's the second half of his career. He's, of course, the very well-known Welsh rugby referee, and he's also the only Welshman to ever referee a World Cup final. So with the final coming up, this is definitely a story you're going to want to read. Nigel is so well-known and beloved in the rugby world. And in this book, we get some very interesting insights into his life and the world of rugby. Some stories that have never been told before again. So definitely another great read. Also, perfect for the sport lovers in your life, perfect as a gift. Or if you're just curious about what goes on behind the scenes for a rugby referee. So yeah, definitely another great rugby read on our list.
No, it's fantastic. And I think like if people have been reading like the Rassie book and things like that and looking for something else to read, other books from
a bit of a different perspective. Yeah,
then you get to read these authors' books. So yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, great, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sine. All right, so now it's on to the final round. So Yaku, over to you for your final title.
Okay, so my final title I want to talk about, I think it's a very important title for the South African market, Coloured. It's got a bit of a sad start in the sense that the idea of the book came about when a young man, 16-year-old boy, was murdered in Eldorado Park outside of Johannesburg by the police. And then the 2 authors, Tessa and Lindsay, being in sort of the media, found that they had to field a lot of sort of questions from the South African public and why there is this anger amongst the coloured community. And so they realized that there's actually not a lot of understanding in South Africa towards the coloured community. So they decided to write this book. And from the beginning, they decided that it's not going to be an academic book. They wanted to sort of tell the stories of real people so that South Africans can get a better sense and understanding. And you'll that what they point out is coloured is not actually a race. It is a classification that was brought about by the apartheid regime because they just didn't know what to do with this grouping of people in the country. But yet, it's people who are of an ethnicity and a demographic that's very much intertwined in the South African history. People with a bloodline that goes back to sort of African roots, but their history was also very much shaped by apartheid and with the colonial past. So because of this, they, over the decades, developed a sort of shared identity and developed interesting sort of language, food, culture, music. So yeah, it's a very sort of vibrant community. And this book, the idea is to celebrate that. And I think every South African should read it because they are a very important part of our society. And I think it will also be a great gift or a book that you can give to a tourist who wants to understand the country a little bit better.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I didn't think about that. I have to say this book has been selling extremely well in Johannesburg, and maybe because it starts off there, you know, in where the story came from. Because I think the authors have been doing a lot of talks and interviews recently last week. I think it also has helped, but I've definitely noticed there's been a lot of interest for this book in Johannesburg at the moment.
And also it's good that you mentioned it, Thomas, because they're going to be at the Cape Flats Festival next month. So for the Cape Townian people who want to see them, they will be in Cape Town as well.
Okay, wonderful. Great. Thanks so much for sharing that title. All right. So Annalise, it's over to you for your final titles. Let me just share the screen, and then let's just see. Your screen is loading. There we go. Cool. Annalise, over to you.
Okay. So the next two books I'll be talking about is called the Binding series, or how she puts it on, you know, what we're selling it in as is called Boys of Tommen. So this is a love story between two youngsters. Obviously, the boy is a rugby player, or a prominent rugby player, and the title Binding 13 obviously comes from the number 13 on his jersey. So you meet him, Johnny Kavanagh. He is the definition of popular. He's obviously an all-star rugby player with loads of friends, which should make it easy for him to obviously, you know, enjoy the perks of life. But what people don't know is that he's been dealing with a very painful injury that could halt the magnificent trajectory of his career. And that means he has no time for distractions, mistakes, especially not a girlfriend. Needless to say, he meets up with Shannon Lins, and she's been bullied all her life. And she obviously knows how to shy away from the world and hide herself away to make it just through school. But when she arrives at Tommen College, there's obviously, or she decided that it would be a fresh start for her. But like I say, needless to say, she meets up with the notorious Johnny Kavanagh, and the first day in school, they obviously met, but in not such a romantic way. But they started a very complicated friendship that at some point turns into undeniable chemistry. And it seems like Shannon won't be able to hold on to her anonymous status. She opened up, or that they are once hoped for. But, hopefully things should be all right. And then the second book in, the series called Binding 30, obviously tells us the story of, follow on book one. And in this one, we meet once again Johnny. He is now, lost his number 13 jersey because he suffered an injury. And the friendship between the two will obviously help to carry both of them with, Shannon with her past. And obviously, she obviously suffered quite a bit of abuse, as we learned from the first book. But, it's... the author has written quite a few other series. These are only the ones that, we're doing at the moment. She is a phenomenon on TikTok. People just love her. Every single time there's a new Chloe Welch out, people are just rushing to get it. So definitely, I think the genre sport, if of someone that is a sport enthusiast and likes stories around it, that is a definite gift to give. There are 4 titles in the series, so far that we brought out. We'll see where it obviously will end. So yeah, that is Chloe Welch, Binding 30 and 13 and Keeping 13, book 1 and 2 in the Boys of Tommen series.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, it sounds good. And we should see if the TikTok fans buy. And I guess if you have a girlfriend that's not into rugby, maybe she'll be into rugby reading these books.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, Melita, over to you for your final title.
Okay. Let me just get this to move on. There you go. Sorry, guys. I know subbing recipe books is never a good thing this time of the day. So this is Cupcakes and Couscous from My Kitchen to Yours by Teresa Elliott. And this is an absolute fantastic gift to give for Christmas. Now, she is a blogger, and she's also a regular on Afternoon Espresso. So Her blog is also called Cupcakes and Couscous. But like I said, this is the ideal Christmas gift. This is for someone who is already an experienced cook, or for someone starting out and they want to try new things, or people who just want to entertain and they have no idea what they're going to do this Christmas. So just to show you some of the recipes. So there you go, mochatia pudding, and it's quick and easy. Butternut and sun-dried tomato lasagna. Doesn't this just look so summery? Absolutely amazing. Potato and cheese croquettes. There you go. And this, I still want to make chocolate and bubbly mousse. Can you get better? It's like the two favorites for Christmas that meet up: chocolate and sparkling wine. So there you go.
Oh, wonderful. I think if I remember correctly, the author is based in Cape Town. So it's a local author.
She is local.
Yeah, wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Melita. Perfect. Nice to show some recipes at lunchtime so people can get the book and then maybe make some nice Sunday lunch this week, or some nice food for the rugby. So yeah. Okay, so now we're on to the final book, and that's going to be with Sine. So Sine, over to you for your final title.
Okay, thanks. Before I forget, I quickly do want to mention all the books I'm talking about now are currently on promotion with Reader's Warehouse, where if you buy 2 or more rugby books, you get 20% off. So your list has been chosen for you today. Go out and get it on Reader's Warehouse website.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that, Sine. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so last up today, I have Rugby's Greatest Mavericks by Luke Upton. So this book really covers those rugby players that have broken the mold, that have done some extraordinary things on the field, the ones who stand out and really stay in our memories. So this is from a best-selling author, Luke Upton. People who are into sports literature will definitely recognize his name. And again, this features some exclusive interviews. It's very funny and engaging, such a fun read. So readable, and you really get to read some more in-depth background on some of the rugby union's craziest moments, those moments everybody keeps talking about around the braai. So yeah, definitely a must read. And for South African, as for some local interest, there's also some background on James Small from South Africa. So he is also featured in this book. So yeah, so that's Rugby's Greatest Mavericks.
Yeah, perfect. And then they talk about a lot of scenes there where fans have to who stood on their feet, for those amazing moments, in World Rugby. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. All right. So that is the 3 rounds complete. So thank you so much, everybody, for those amazing titles. I just want to quickly just share our top 5 or top 10 bestsellers for the past 2 weeks at Reader's Warehouse. Just to mention, I know people have been asking us for 2 specific books that are coming out this week from John the Ball. The one is Worthy by Jada Pinkett Smith, and then it's the Britney Spears book, The Woman in Me. These 2 titles will be in all our stores towards the end of this week. So if you're looking for these 2 titles, we will be having them very shortly. And then just to say our top 10 to 6 titles, we have the Lisa Jewell at number 10. Number 9 is the new Kristen Hanna. The 8th is the Twisted Love series, book 1 specifically, selling extremely well. Such a big fan base for this 4-book series. Then it's the new standalone James Patterson with Michael and Lapika. And then it is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yara, still doing extremely well. Then number 5 is the Dion Mayer, which Lita mentioned. So it came out literally sometime last week, and it's our 5th bestseller for the past 2 weeks now. Number 4 is the Rassie Erasmus biography with David O'Sullivan. Number 3 is the latest Richard Osman title from the Thursday Murder Club. Number 2 is The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese, still selling extremely well. And then number 1 has moved up the chart, is the latest title from Ken Follett, The Armor of Light. So that is our top 10. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you were spoiled for choice for some fantastic titles. And we'll be back next Monday with children's book recommendations. But until then, happy reading, and we'll see you next week. Bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.